B, just first of all, thanks for taking your time today. Just obviously a massive weekend coming up. Just how have you kind of found the season so far before we get into the semi-final?
It's been a long season and probably slightly different in terms of previous seasons I've been used to because I think after the successes of last year, it felt like a natural kind of segue for a lot of people to move on to bigger and better things. We had a few players that kind of went on to, Leicester Tigers, Gloucester Hartbury. We had some people that just naturally came to the end of their rugby journey. We had a significant number of coaches that just, have gone on to sort of to other things. So it's been long in the terms of no longer than any other season, but like the turnover of players and the turnover of staff have made it, I guess, more interesting this year, and in itself has kind of thrown up more challenges. We were quite a close knit team before, and then it's been like a new chapter, and it's kind of we've themed it as a new dawn in terms of load of new faces, both staff and players. So there's been some challenges through the season, I think, but natural humps in the road that have kind of, I think, probably galvanised the group and kind of brought us closer together, and kind of put us in good stead, I think, for the what will hopefully be the next couple of weeks, because obviously the semi-final, hopefully if that goes well, on to Twickenham again in May. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned those players going on to kind of bigger and better things. Is that kind of just testament to the club? Does that kind of make you feel proud to see the likes of Talia playing well for Leicester, Amber starting for Sale week in, week out, just stuff like that?
I, I think, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, personally, and it's immense. And I think sometimes there's that kind of, heart, it tugs on the heartstrings a little bit when players move on. But actually just seeing them not just step up, but actually do so well. And it is just phenomenal. But also, like, I mean, one of the big things for me is watching, especially younger players, like kind of grow into themselves, become great people as well as just ticking boxes at the high level. I mean, I think the sense of pride when they do that is just, it's hard to quantify really, but I bloody love it on a weekend when you get team sheets. Tyler at Leicester, Maddie's been at Leicester, Leah's been in the Celtic Challenge. It's just it's big smiles. Love it.
And obviously looking ahead a little bit more to Saturday, just it's been quite a while. Like the kind of season's been a bit disjointed with the length of time, couple of games off with Worcester unfortunately pulling out. Just how's the prep for the semi-final been, and how excited are you to kind of get into that kind of match week now?
Oh, it's both my favourite time of year, but also hardest time of year because, as you can imagine, we've had probably more players than we've ever had in any other season this year, and from a player perspective, the amount of guys that start to put their hands up, we get kind of six weeks out from a semi final. People are training hard. The head to heads of training are kind of spicy. There's a couple of opportunities in terms of games where players are just playing out their skins. So, from a player point of view, it's super exciting, challenging for us as coaches in terms of, trying to decide who we're going to go with. Stressful in terms of, all the prep and the detail that we're trying to get in. Kind of pride ourselves in that side of things in terms of how we create content, how we throw challenges up personally and physically for the girls. We've lucky enough in terms of our pathway that, Gloucester Hartbury are very supportive. We've had a couple of joint training sessions, taking ourselves out of our comfort zone of Newlands Park, and we've been to Kingsholm a couple of times to train, which has been really good for the girls. So it's kind of like a two-edged sword, I think. Stressful, but really bloody exciting, to be honest with you, to have this opportunity again.
You mentioned those links with Gloucester Hartbury and that kind of that pathway. Just how important has that been to see those players, kind of those dual reg players, stepping down and doing so well for you as well?
It's been really important at times, and I think testament to those girls as well that have been on dual reg, that have effectively had you know in two different camps, but actually when they've come to us in terms of training or matches, have just really not just on the pitch throwing themselves into playing rugby, but have really kind of thrown themselves into being part of the group, because I think some of that off-field stuff and those bonds are probably just as important if you want to perform on the pitch together. So testament to those girls that have been on DR and have kind of done both. But I think that's probably a bit of a shining light in terms of how the partnership itself has kind of gone, and it's kind of become a little bit closer in terms of it. It's not just those DR players just coming down to get game time. It's actually knitting, and we've got relationships with Gloucester Hartpury in terms of staff. We liaise with those guys, and I think it's all kind of building to be like, I mean, it's pushing. I mean, like rugby in Gloucestershire as a whole, if you look at it, is just booming at the minute, and I think the pathway and how it works is a bit of a testament to that. So.
Mhm. And you mentioned some of the obviously massive turnover of players, new players coming in too, the kind of the bigger ones, at Tess and George obviously come in from Australia. Just how nice it to have these kind of overseas players come in and bringing their culture to the club.
Oh, well, so I don't if anyone's met Tess or G, yeah, Aussie girls that have come over for a season. And first and foremost, like I think one of the biggest things they've bought is huge club people. Obviously they wanted to come over and join the senior team and kind of throw the hat in the ring in terms of playing. But I think the biggest thing that surprised me in such a pleasant way is just, I mean, they're just club. They right, what can we get involved with? Coaching girls, coaching the boys under 16, the boys under 15s, like, what can we do around the clubhouse to like, help out and stuff? Like they're just all encompassing, I think, in terms of what they bought. It's not just been on the pitch. I mean, on the pitch, if anyone's met them, they're a lively duo. They love to celebrate after or commiserate after. They love that kind of like camaraderie, that that banter off when we're off the pitch, and work hard on the pitch. But I think for me, it's the all encompassing, in terms of what they bought, in terms of what they wanted to like bring with them and kind of do. So yeah, they've been superb actually this season and been a real sort of fresh ray of light.
And obviously Tess doing so well off the pitch with kind of Celtic Challenge honours as well. Just I think there was a fair few in the end up playing in that Celtic Challenge. Just how special is that for yourself and the coaches to have to see these players getting rewarded for impressive performances in the Championship?
It's nice that the girls at Championship are starting to get, I say starting to, I know there have been, girls go up to the Prem, but I think that, Championship across all the clubs, really, the girls are starting to be recognised, and the level itself is starting to be recognised. And there are some really good players at Championship level, like, it's diamonds hidden in the rough, really. And to see the likes of like Tess and like Danny Di Napoli as well, has been up to the Celtic Challenge, like Leia, who's, DR'd with Gloucester Hartpury, has done really well. It's just great, really. And I think the Celtic Challenge in itself, like, I think it's great that they've now got these clubs across Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. And I hope actually they end up in a league, and they just run with it, and they become ultimately clubs like the Gloucester Hartpury, etc. But I think it's such a good stepping stone for the girls as well in terms of like Championship upwards, and like all of them aspiring to get international caps, to be honest with you, with their respective countries. So again, it's just another weekend feeling where girls are taking it on to another level, and performing well, to be honest with you, which has been really pleasing. So
Yeah, you mentioned Tess doing so much around the club. Obviously, yourself being around the club for so long, done so much for Cheltenham Tigers. Just how special is Cheltenham Tigers to you, and just how important are these kind of big days for you and for the club?
I think, I mean, for me, I've been at the club. I think this is, I have to get this right now. I think I'm going into my 19th, potentially 20th year at the club, and I started out at Hartpury. Actually, it wasn't Gloucester Hartpury back in the day. It was just Hartpury, and got picked up by a club just playing for fun on what was the hockey pitch at Hartpury. Gone now, I think, 'cause they've got an academy there instead. But look, it's really special, and the club is passionate about building a culture. Of course, we want to be kind of a centre of excellence in terms of our performance, and we want to continue to be, from a women's perspective, pushing the boundaries in terms of women's rugby. But it's not just about that. I think at the minute the women are doing well, but I think the club as a whole are really trying to build that kind of family culture, and like be part of the community where people can come and be safe and be active. And of course it helps. Women's rugby's doing well, but the men's team have done well this year as well, and the M&J section continues to thrive and grow. And I think what we're working on behind the scenes now is more integrating those sections together to really build those foundations. And it's it's a. I mean, I've been there for 20 years now, and I've had times where I've kind of gone away a little bit to kind of experience rugby in different settings. But I've just never come across an environment like it, to be honest with you. And it just, I just hold it very dear to my heart, and a lot of that is down to the culture and the way that we act around each other and towards each other. So it's that family culture, and I live and breathe it, I guess, as they say.
You mentioned those kind of integrating the different elements of the club. Just how important are the kind of big days such as the lunch before the semi-final on Sunday, and kind of the events around that?
It's massive. It's massive. It's been a really nice experience this time around in terms of like again the different sections wanting to be part of it and want to help with certain bits, and ultimately come and support. Not just come and support and watch a great game of rugby, hopefully, but like kind of helping setting things up, and guards of honor, and it's the kids in terms of multiple age groups that want to come and do ball girls, and just be part of the big day, and just kind of, I mean, the pinnacle of it, shining the light of women's rugby, but just on the club as a whole. I mean, if anyone is coming down at the weekend, you're going to see people from the men's section, mums from the M&J, some of the M&Js and stuff. So it's another occasion where we can showcase the club, we can showcase the rugby that and showcase all the different people at the club. And I think it's massive, and I think it's I was actually on a part of an RFU kind of questionnaire in terms of women's rugby being a little bit more flexible in terms of when they play, and I think being able to showcase in front of peers, different sections, different people, across the community and in the rugby world is just massive in terms of bringing in interest and support for rugby. So I think events like that where you can make it into a big day and it's a family event, I just think is massive.
And obviously, OA Saints is the opposition on Sunday. Is there any part of you hoping for a slightly less tense semi-final than the last one against OAs?
Every part of me is hoping for a definitely less. I'm glad you said tense. I mean, probably one of the best games of rugby I've ever been involved with, and I think, I know a few girls down there. I don't think anyone would have ever grumbled about whichever team won. It had everything. And I guess for the neutral in me is like, God, another game like that is just going to wow everybody. But yeah, from a Cheltenham Tigers coach point of view, I'm like, please, guys, I can't go with that again.
I'm just finally, what are the excitement levels like for the weekend now?
Yeah, they're starting to build. We trained over the weekend before our second team played. You can see the nervous energy, but kind of building it into excitement with the girls. Building steadily. I think for the week we've got a few sort of key things alongside training to kind of build that squad, build that feeling and that excitement, and ultimately, like, for us as coaches, just really start to make people feel happy and confident, and in the best place mentally and physically for come Sunday at 2 o'clock.